heading home on this interesting Wednesday afternoon. Tomorrow, 100% predictions of rain. More than likely, 100 mils. We've got another flood coming. That'll be the fourth in like 2 months. Anyway, I'm feeling a sudden urge to talk about NPCs, non-player characters. And I don't want to talk about non-player character as if somehow it's a video game, but like, you know how unfortunately or fortunately you've been shown way too much to have it proven any other way than to say that we live in a matrix. We live in the matrix, and it is what it is. And whilst we are having a conversation right now as we talk about particular topics and things, I can guarantee you that Lord God Almighty will play games with this conversation and just, yeah. For an example, a few weeks back, there was a lady I was listening to, and she was talking about the Matrix. And I had a truck pull in front of me, Anderson's, Mr. Anderson, just stuff like that. Just this afternoon, I had a car come past me with 555 on the number plate. I looked down at the phone, 555. You couldn't get it wrong. Every action that we make or take, it's predetermined. And what gets me is, even what you believe to be the most random, intricate variables of what could not be predicted, it was already predicted. And it's like, do we really have choice and free will? Or is God that clued into who we are and what we do that he's just cruising? Are we just predictable? Anyway, non-player characters. Don't take it personally, right? So I was just in a hardware shop getting some gear, and I'm not saying it feels like that movie Jumanji, the one that's got the rock in it, and you've just got the characters that fill the void, but this was almost one of those scenarios, right? So I think I go along the highway. Where do I go? For a drive through Matrixville. So as I get to the checkout, I begin, I start a conversation. And this is actually why I just don't talk to anyone, because it's too hit and miss. More often than not, you're going to hit an NPC. More often than not. And if you can come into an acceptance with that, there's no need to belittle the individual for being this, but just kind of understand it for what it is. I'm not saying lights are off, there ain't nobody home, but it's kind of like that, And it's not their fault that they are what they are. They just are what they are, and it is what it is. But what just happened to me here was a prime example of NPC. Now, I'm not saying were they reasonably attractive? Wasn't looking at that. But I was speaking to a young lady, and at first, by nature, I thought, well, they seem agreeable. Started the conversation here, and it was just about, I had seen a really good idea today, and I was like, I'd like to share that idea. And I thought I was speaking to someone that was interested. Just as you do. So as I begin to emphasize, even in a very basic form, what the idea is, I recognize something. It's like it was knee-jerk responses, and they were not listening to one word that came out of my mouth, but they were giving an exact response to act as if somehow, well, not only were they listening, but they were interested. And I'm not going to say, is that good public customer service or not? It wasn't that. It was something other than just that. it was like watching a programmed computer trying to interact as a human, but purely because of the nature of the conversation, the computer couldn't figure it out. I don't mean like artificial intelligence or not, but that's kind of what the NPC is. It's artificial intelligence. Right? And so, is there a soul in there? Look, there probably is. Now, so we could take this at a couple of different angles. When you try to start a conversation with someone and they act agreeable, you're looking for a bit of tennis back and forth. Are they full of insecurities and they're just making any form of response not to look stupid? That could be it. This wasn't that. This was like legitimately lights are on, nobody was home. And it's just, I know that this topic is coming up for me to look at the moment, because with lights on, nobody home, I've been sort of like not forced, pushed to use my discernment about understanding particular individuals that I interact with. And when you give people focused attention, so ultimately this conversation beyond NPC is about focused attention. So in this universal experience, it's been spoken that we are to master a single point of focus. Because once we get good at one single point of focus, we will be handed 2 points of focus to focus on at one given time. Real interesting shit. So, I'm not, how do I say this, someone that, lost for words here, predisposed, I think is the word. Like polyrhythmic thought, when you've got more than one thing going on at once. So, with metal engineering, sometimes giving the harder option makes you smarter. And when I was dealing with really round pipes, some pipe was like a metre wide, and some 300 mils, some 50 mil. But like when you're dealing with pipe and you've got spheres, there's nothing but straight lines. Now, when you try to cut circles in pipe with an angle grinder, or you've got to take out a 45-degree angle for one pipe to go into another pipe with an angle grinder, the polyrhythmic conundrum that you've got to try and focus on all at once forces you to get into a single point of focus. But with that single point of focus, you are focusing on 5 to 6 things at once. And when you first do it, it hurts. Like, you've got to, you sleep really well because you've thought a way that you never thought. So you've got to get beyond thought. I'm saying it's like ultra instinct, but like, you've got to allow your soul to focus for you. You're just the eyes, right? So, polyrhythmic thinking, like you got 5 to 6 things that you have to focus on at once in a single point of focus. It's really interesting stuff. And you start thinking about God being almighty and all-knowing. God is all-seeing, all-knowing. God sees all, hears all, knows all at once, all the time. That's like a really big thing to comprehend when we want to talk about our Creator, where anyone wants to proclaim themselves to be the single point of focus as God themselves. Like, that's not all-knowing. Anyway, so we're a part of God, but the almighty supreme being of creation itself, the Godhead, is all-knowing, all-seeing, all-understanding, all at once. And at best, see, we can't even get focused on one point at the moment without being scattered from the minefield of good and evil being thrashed about through the spiritual war that's going on in the mind. We can't even get one point of focus right at the moment. Back to it. So, NPCs. You know how, like, I'm not saying your mind can play tricks on you, but have you ever wished that something was more than what it was? Where you've got to actually be coming into an apology with yourself because you may have been playing games with yourself. And I think the NPC is a great example of this when you are like, see, I'm hyper vigilant, hyper aware. Like, I'm a lone wolf. Like, I just, instincts are sharp, all over shit like a rash, right? 11. So when I got told to use my discernment, and this is just me trying to understand as someone trying to perform some form of witchcraft on me, I was like, use your discernment. And so I had to like really sort of pull in on this one for what it is. Yeah, like you got the wheel of samsara. I'm not going to say that they fall into the categories of the wheel, but 3D, duality. You know, we talk about the book of good and evil. Duality, 3D. Good, bad, up, down, left, right, in, out, black, white. Splitting shades of grey. See, outside of duality past empathy, you've just got love, or you've got a lacking of love, where that lacking of love needs even more love to support that lack of love until it comes back into a balance of love. So it's just shades of love. It's not good or bad. It's just love or a lacking of love. Yeah, it's just like it was good, or it's not too good. So just like, if you can shift your perspective from good or bad to just going not so good or really good, that's, so like there's different ways to strip the duality out of the way that you see and think. Stop saying it's good or it's bad, or stop saying it's bad, it's good, or like, you know, like categorize the good, like out of 1 to 10, out of 1 to 10, not very good, really good. It's not going too good. But if you say bad, boom, you've split it into a duality. So like, you can't measure duality. All you've got is then black and white. You've turned a part of what was good into its shadow version of what it is, and you change your perspective of how you see what it is that you're dealing with. Well, listen, we're getting back to NPC. So talking to a person at the trade centre, and then through focused attention today, I was having a focused attention conversation with someone else, and through discernment I'm starting to pick something up. Now, you'll know if you're a part of the 144,000 or if you're not. That's 1 in 50,000 people for this planet. 1 in 50,000. If you are chosen or if you're not. So you've got the 144,000, and then you've got, you know, fewer called, even fewer are chosen, then you've got the chosen, right? And some have woken up or some haven't. So out of that 144,000, do you think they've all woken up? No. So it's even less than 50,000, 1 in 50,000. So I, at the sweet age that I'm at, have come to understand that I've got no friends. And aside from being able to watch a video or two where I can see someone has gone through enough of the journey of getting the deep introspection they need to have maturity within their nous and comprehension of thought and life and spirituality and Christ and just Jesus. Jesus is actually the answer to pretty much everything. Anyway, Once you use a focused attention on, fortunately around like the 3D characters, you will see what I saw today. And I just, look, I think I'm glad that I finally just seen it, and I've seen it for what it is. I can come to terms with it. It's like, we have to stop living in denial that there's something there when it's not there. Not wishful thinking. No, I've got to kick the wishful thinking. Responding for the sake of responding to sound like someone's interested in order to interact, like, this thing that I'm talking about, it's beyond ignorance. It's actually like, so I was saying, it was like the machine trying to fill in the gap to give you a sense that I'm talking about seeing the flaws and the glitches in the matrix, but just seeing it for what it is. It's an artificial intelligence, and its emotional intelligence is, it has its levels. We'll just say that. Right? So it's hard to come to terms that you're within a matrix, and a lot of the time, without you even knowing it, you are dealing with a character that is artificial intelligence, and the interactions that they give you is just purely to make your day a little bit better. Now, let's not say that we're walking around like the gods on this earth. It's not that. But it's like, is it like saying there's blow-up dolls everywhere that have a voice and a personality? Lights on, nobody's home. Let's say blow-up dolls because I want to. Not that. We're chased. We're not drunk. Sobriety is our thing. It's talking about robots. That's it. And then, so accepting a robot for a robot, and you're going, well, I can't actually build a friendship or a relationship with this AI. I can't do it. And like, stop getting upset thinking you're looking for the validation from that AI, for as if somehow it had the personality to be able to give you that validation. Again, I don't want to throw it into the words of saying it's like we are the gods on this planet and they are here to serve us. It's not that, but look, it's kind of like that. You're not meant to interact with them. We're in this world, but not of this world, and it's, you know, it's important to be kind and loving and gentle and friendly in all things that you would like to see in others. Love thy neighbour. Do unto others as you would do to yourself, type of thing. But just, all I'm trying to get at is, if you're dealing with someone that's, collecting trolleys, or you've got someone that, the floor moppers, or you've got someone that's at the checkout, or someone that's in the hospitality industry, it's just like, the best thing that you could do for them is take control of the situation and depth your conversation. Don't go into anything that requires thinking, because you don't need the machine to get disgruntled, and allow them to actually just feel good about themselves, and then through that loving kindness, because there is a heavy conditioning within the individual, just allow them to feel like they were valued and move on. Don't engage. Don't get engaged. Don't start a conversation where, and that's what I'm saying, I feel like I'm just finally starting to really grab it for what it is. Constantly in a state of wishful thinking, hoping and wishing that these characters are somehow there to bond with or create a friendship with or somehow see a future. No, there's nothing there. It would be a lot easier if you were just in a planet full of pets, because at least you could just pat them and say good boy, but like, you're not in that. Like, you're amongst humans that don't have self-awareness. So we've got to change our perspective on, you could call it the little man without a voice if you want to call it that. you are a gardener, the world is your garden and it's full of flowers. Look but don't touch. Adore it but don't touch. Observe it but don't touch. As a gardener, you will find a fellow gardener at some point. But all else is just a part of the garden to observe and just get, it's nice to watch it flourish, essentially. It's nice to get joy out of watching the interaction between the birds, the bees, the flowers, the trees. But in order to start really shooting towards a higher level of personal evolution, take the heart off the sleeve, pull it in, get rid of this idea that being extroverted and going out there and just making friends left, right, and centre, like, there's nothing in that. If you're in this world, the world will love you, and that will happen as a part of this world. But if you are after substance, and if you are after deep and meaningful, like, you're not going to get that. So I'm not saying being the introvert's the answer either, because it doesn't really, I don't really know what the answer is to life anymore, because the long and short for me is I don't think any of us should be here. I think planet Earth is a contaminated wasteland. It's condemned. And that's not being rude. It's just, I'll give you an example. Let's go back 10 generations, right? Your great-great-great-great-grandfather. So let's say your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather fucked up. And let's say they did something outside of marriage and there's adultery. And then so they've got that in the blood, they've passed that on to the next generation. And so we've got shit that goes down the blood 4 generations, but you've got all the contaminated shit that was in the blood before it even got to the contamination. So you've just got, it's just a wasteland of filthy blood. And we're at the point right now where it's a cesspool of contaminated disease. Look at the cancer. I mean, you want to talk about faith. It's a faithless planet, right? And dead set on that, except for those that understand that Jesus is Christ and Lord. Let me tell you this one here. They'll put all their faith in the government, though, as it shoves, stuff into their body, and they'll accept it blindly. But if you want to offer them something genuine that has compassion and kindness, you'll be raked over the coals and be called a conspiracy theorist or something, right? So just, like I was saying, the whole, in the Matrix, Neo talks about it, the very ones that you're here to save are the ones that will reject you and crucify you if they get the chance. The NPCs. Just, if you can, next time you go shopping, or next time, and there might be one that's not one amongst them, and that's why it's time to use discernment and start to wade through the chaff and find the grain of wheat, because there's a lot of chaff and not much wheat. It's pretty poor harvest, unfortunately. How am I getting at? Like, what's the point to this video? I think the point is, it's time to come to terms completely, officially, absolutely, with the fact that we're in this world but not of it. And you would be in this world but not of it if you're watching this video. Someone from the Matrix is not going to watch this video. Right? So if you try to start a conversation and you're out shopping, don't be upset. There's nothing to be upset about. There's no one home. Pretty much all interactions in general, don't be upset. There's no one home. I hate it. It is what it is. That's why I was saying I don't think we should be here. I think, I was talking about the contaminated blood, the diseased blood, like the cesspool of just dirty blood. It's gone feral, right? So the garbage that I've gone through over the past, 12 to 13 years now, like solidly, has been an absolute flogging against my own character, just because God has evidently been purifying and refining the blood within me, because I've been grafted off my family tree and I've been placed onto the family of Christ. I'm a new thing. I've been grafted into the family of Christ. And as that new thing, there'll be others that are grafted out of their family tree. We're the chosen ones. And we've been chosen to clean the bloodlines. But like, it's that hard. You know what I mean? It's like, watch the Passion of Christ, and do you see how just before he's in the garden, and you've got like the Lucifer in the garden going, it's too heavy a burden for someone to try and carry to redeem mankind. Like, he knew what would have to happen. What we've gone through is nothing in comparison to that, but the way to mature and purify, like, there's a lot of suffering that we have to go through in order to cleanse the dirt out of the blood, so that we can become more purified once more, so we don't pass that garbage on to the next generation. So at day's end, if we want to have a look at it from that perspective, all NPCs, everyone that God has not introduced into your life, which is pretty much everyone. I'm not saying have no friends, but like literally, unless God is introducing someone into your life, do not entertain any love affairs. Do not entertain any friendships that shouldn't be friendships. Do not entertain anything narcissistic. Hell, don't even entertain this video, honestly. Unless God brings them into your life, the cleansing that God is trying to do for your blood and for the future of your bloodline and for where things are heading, as you have been chosen to clean that blood out. That's why it's such a horrible journey, because we're getting purified for the next generation. We're the sacrificial anode, and it sucks. We shouldn't be here. None of us should have been born. None of us. It is a high duty that we are fulfilling, suffering this crap. And the only way that I can wake up day after day and keep backing this up is knowing that God needs me to do this, because God has to allow free will, because if God does one thing that's outside of free will, creation would cease to exist, essentially. We are God's foot soldiers. So what I'm doing is important, and I have to have faith and trust that that's the case. So with that, I have to be hyper vigilant about the food I consume, the water, the solids I consume, the fluids I consume, the music, the information, everything that comes in is going to either contaminate or purify the blood. It's all about the blood. Christ is the life in the blood. My job is to cleanse that blood to allow that life to flourish a little bit better and to pass that on to the next generation. That's why I still haven't had kids yet, because I still haven't finished the cleaning, because there's a clean slate coming, and that clean slate will be the fresh blood. So also, no more promiscuity. Don't go whoring about or in it, because you don't want that in your children. It's about what you're passing on. Like, we are here to decontaminate, to completely cleanse, to give a clean slate without prejudice to the next generation, knowing that we did the best we could to cleanse all the bullshit out of, we're the generational curse breakers, to cleanse all the crap out of the blood, so the next generation can come along with a clean slate to start again. They are our patriarch. They are the fresh ones. Anyway, NPCs, don't get concerned about validation. Be kind and loving. Just have social demeanor, but don't interact. Don't engage. Don't even start a conversation about how good an idea you had was. Nothing. Just get the job done, have a lovely day, and if God wants you to speak to someone, then speak with them. But we've got to be so careful who we interact with, because anyone could contaminate us. I'm not saying the world is a disease, but like, how many have taken the? We're all full of it now. Anyway, seek your validation from God. Give your loving kindness to mankind. Be the example. Just give loving kindness. Be the example. Be gentle. Be friendly. Be the example that you would like to see. But just when it comes to interacting with others, make sure that God has brought them into your life. Make sure that they are on your level. Because if they're not there, I think we've all suffered enough heartache today to know exactly what the hell it is I'm talking about right now. Stop beating your head against a brick wall. We've all got to stop doing it. And just to give you, validation about what I'm talking about here, focused attention the next time you're trying to deal with one of these individuals, and you'll see it as much as I see it. Like, it is an artificial intelligence. It's not there for you to engage with. You are a wolf amongst sheep. Don't engage with the sheep. Look after the herd. Don't engage. Be the gardener. Don't pick the flowers. May God bless you. Jesus guide you. Holy Spirit educate you. Bye.